know if you guys have experienced what I'm getting ready to share, but I can say that at least one part of my family, one side of my family, had a member or maybe two, and I'm just not immediately aware of it, that had this behavior, I guess, this custom. And I just wanted to bring it here and share it with you guys to see if you guys went through the same, observed the same, or you know the meaning of this, because I've never really officially looked this up. That is, I have a maternal great grandmother who had a ton of glassware, kitchen glassware, plates, spoons, forks, more plates, glass, more glass, mugs, teacups, more plates, so on and so forth. But these were not particularly for everyday use. These were special occasion glassware. So if at some point years go by and no special occasion takes place, such as, I don't know, a wedding or a particular celebration, or I don't know, just a massive big deal event, those plates don't get used. They never get touched. But when they do get used and they get touched, in a sense, that should be its own celebration because it is so rare that grandma would allow for such a thing to happen. It's like she was overzealous of that particular glassware. Now, there was the separate one that the family could use at any time, was expected to use at any time, but not that fancy, extremely antique, made of I don't know what. I can also think of it pertaining to me, my personal experience when I was a kid, with the way my mom would handle some of my clothes. There was that special occasion dress, special occasion shoes, special occasion jewelry, even if it wasn't real metals or real gemstones or anything, but just special occasion this, special occasion that, and you are to not touch it under any circumstances unless that occasion showed up. Well, for those of you who have been around and have known me for a while here on the channel, you might realize that I tend to be a person who's not very outgoing. I do not thrive in social situations. I avoid social situations. Therefore, it's not like opportunities for me to go places are raining upon me because I'm not putting myself out there. And that's great. I'm fine with that. That is the way for me to go. However, when I look back at my childhood, there are times in which I feel like there were some clothes that I grew out of before I could even enjoy them. And there were some that I just had to give up because I never even got to wear them that much. And who knows, maybe the person we donated them to ended up wearing the absolute fuck out of them. So what was untouchable, unusable, and unwearable for me became someone else's treasure, possibly. And maybe the person who ended up inheriting that from me ended up wearing the shit out of it. They enjoyed it on my behalf more than me. But the only way I make peace with that is if I look at it as maybe it wasn't meant for me to have such a great time with it. But when it comes to glassware and cutlery and all that, I'm thinking, I don't know how my grandmother would have felt, my great grandmother, how she would have felt. I guess I could ask mom. But she had, like, I guess that background, that influence. I don't know if she might have been influenced by that just being the culture at the time, or if this had to do with being married to my great grandfather. My great grandfather is of French descent. Maybe that is something that he brought, like a culture thing that he brought with himself or something. I cannot say for sure because I never really got to interact like that far back with those members of the family. But I just know that it doesn't seem to be a thing that only happened in my family. I remember hearing from someone who has a German grandmother, and she was kind of the same. She had like her special set of things that nobody was to touch unless there was a specific guest over or something like that. So now the question I want to ask is, how were they really feeling toward the end of their lives about the things that they just had stowed away for years because you're protecting it very zealously, but then it's like your life went by and these things that you had, you didn't really get to enjoy them very much. Or say some people who might have owned a lot of fancy things, fancy jewels, fancy clothing, fancy shit, but you're like, oh my god, I gotta be overly zealous. I can't let it get rained on. I can't let it touch the floor. I can't let it have any dust. I had those tendencies when I was a kid. There was some stuff that I'm like, I don't want for my white shoes to be worn on a rainy day or to be worn in dusty areas. So in a sense, there's a lot of things that as a kid, I, looking back, realized I never really got around to enjoying. And now as an adult, the way I still manifest part of that is when I buy a fancy pair of shoes, like those Nikes that I showed you guys, I know exactly which shoes preceded in the order of me wearing them down. But at first, because I spent more than I'm comfortable with on a regular day on them, I've been behaving that way kind of zealously, and I'm like, I'm not going to wear these unless I have the special outfit for it, and absolutely not to be worn for the gym until it's their turn to be worn at the gym after I have worn the other running shoes that preceded. Right now, they're more my fashion outfit for relaxed moments kind of shoe, but then eventually they'll turn into gym shoes. But in the past, there were shoes that never made it to any type of athletic activity. But now that I'm older and I guess I'm really trying to have a strict budget, there have been shoes that I have worn to the gym that I would have never considered wearing for the gym. But I'm telling myself, there are so many shoes that I have that I don't wear that often. Months go by. What is the point? They're not even seasonal. They're like year-round shoes. But I obtain those things. I spend the money. I get that only to have them in the closet waiting for that special occasion. Just like dresses. There are some dresses that I religiously would not even dare to even pass them on my closet. You know, like they're on the hanger and I gotta push them aside to go to whatever I'm looking for. I wouldn't even dare to look at them too much because I felt like I was wearing them down, like I was making the color fade if I looked at them. So I'm thinking, where does that behavior come from? Is it valid? Is it worth it to be that way? Where did that value come from? Why are we like that? Now I'm starting to have more of a spirit of, I bought this, I'm going to enjoy it, period. But if for whatever reason I find myself in a special occasion that necessitates for me having impeccable shoes, it's either I'll buy a brand new pair, extremely cheap, and somehow not draw attention to my shoes, and then the rest of me can be fancied up. Maybe have one pair that I try my best to keep in the best shape possible, but it's not like, wow, this is it. Religiously must not be worn at any time. I thought I would share that with you guys. Let me know what you think about that. Do you feel that? Have you been that way? Did you grow up with people who were like that too? Were your grandparents like that or great grandparents? Fancy stuff that you own, let it be home stuff, clothing, even cars. There's people I know who have 2 cars and they're like, this is my car that I only drive maybe twice a month. I have like my other everyday car and I'm like, why? Just why? I'm just trying to learn something because I know I will never be like that. And now everything that I have, everything that I own, I'm trying to actually wear. Leggings can be the one thing that I can also say I was zealous of. It's like my Gymsharks. Oh, they cannot get stained. I prefer not to wear them on rainy days. I prefer not to wear them on the gym if I'm gonna have to do exercises that involve my butt being on the floor. I prefer to just wear them in the daytime, and I'll wear them for the gym, but I'll make sure that it's more of a lifting day and light cardio day so that the area in the inner thighs does not begin to wear down faster than others. Oh, my Sharkies. Oh. But then there's that side of me that I want to say about 3 months ago, I began that behavior of, fuck this. I have so many of these leggings. I tend to skip over them based on what the weather is, where I'm going, who I'm with, what I'm doing. It's like, what is that? I want to enjoy them, but sometimes when I'm wearing them, I'm aware that what I'm wearing are my Sharkies. I gotta be careful about going out into a park because animals can be there, muddy puddles can be there, people riding bicycles may splash something on me. These pants are white, these pants are light gray slash silver, and these pants are yellow, therefore a stain of chocolate would ruin them. I'm glad that my mom made me a careful person, but at what point is that carefulness depriving me of enjoying what I own? That's where this is coming from. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. It would really mean a lot if you shared your thoughts on this one, because it's just something that I am beginning to diagnose as a psychological problem. But there's also the side of me that feels shame looking at it that way, because just because my great grandmother was like that, and I guess that was a product of her time and possibly her culture, doesn't mean that her way of doing things was inferior and that mine is superior. It could be that my way of doing things is inferior because I'm like, well, I gotta wear them and take advantage of them because maybe I won't live very long, or because I don't get to indulge in fancy things often. I better use them. Like, what's the psychology? How did we arrive at that conclusion? Let me know your theories about that. And if you cannot relate to any of what I just expressed, there's a side of me that says good for you, but I also would like to hear your thoughts now that you have heard of this pattern of behavior being a thing. It would really mean a lot to me because I feel like it might help me connect myself better with those people I never got to meet. And maybe, who knows, maybe there's something that I can learn from that. Bye!